America cannot colonize the world any longer, and that is good news. I'm smiling because I remember growing up, my parents would tell me, my dad was in the military in his early 20s, and I remember growing up, my mom would tell me everybody in the world that is not America hates America when they go overseas. And so I was like, I always kept this in the back of my mind. And it's because literally, no matter where you go in the world, if you're in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Iran, if you're in Africa, if you're in New Zealand, wherever you are in the world, there have been sanctions placed and there has been a strategic goal to destabilize economies in areas that have resources, but America just doesn't want them to thrive and survive. They want to be the number one people. And so I want to read to you part of this article, and it's called America's Empire is Bankrupt. So I'm going to read it, and the first sentence is like super interesting. So I'm going to read it slow. Let's start with the basics. Roughly 5% of the human race currently live in the United States of America. That very small fraction of humanity, until quite recently, enjoyed about a third of the world's energy resources, that consumerism, and manufactured products, and about a quarter of its raw materials. This did not happen because nobody else wanted these things, or because the US manufactured and sold something so enticing that the rest of the world eagerly handed over its wealth exchanged. Nope. It happened as the dominant nation, the US, imposed unbalanced patterns of exchange on the rest of the world, and these funneled a disproportionate share of the planet's wealth to itself. And so the article goes on to talk about some of these countries in the Middle East that are finally standing up to the US dollar. And the way that they're doing that is by destabilizing the US dollar by trading in their own currency. See, ever since World War II, America's currency has been the dominant currency of the world. So when America and the European Union came together to fight Germany and Japan, they were the world superpowers, right? So America came in, they dropped the bomb on Japan, and shortly after the war ended, right? And so a lot of people don't realize with the end of World War II, before that, the people were on the gold currency and people were trading in different currencies. But with World War II, that was America's time to be like, okay, we're the dominant superpower because we just saved what they called the whole world. They thought they saved the whole world from itself. And so they're like, okay, everybody should only trade in US dollar all over the world if they want to do exchanges for things like gas and other resources. So what we see happening today, where countries like Russia, countries like China, and countries like Brazil, Mexico, even France now, they want to join BRICS, and they also want to trade in their own currencies. Then countries in Africa like Kenya and Tanzania, they're deciding to trade with these countries across the ocean, to trade with India, to trade with China and these other places in their local currency, weakens the dollar drastically. And it's going to happen slowly, but it's going to have a big impact bit by bit for the people that are still in America. So I want to read what has happened recently in the news with this de-dollarization, and then we will wrap it up. So, as I said, China and Russia are trading in their own currencies. What sparked that, of course, was the war, right? Because there were sanctions placed on Russia. So America froze all of the Russian bank accounts, the government bank accounts, the bank accounts for the rich people, and they wanted everyone in the world to basically turn against them. But that has not happened. Beijing and Brazil have dropped the dollar in bilateral trade. The United Arab Emirates is selling China its gas in the yuan through a French company. So, like I said, France said they're going to be part of BRICS. Southeast Asian nations are de-dollarizing their trade, promoting local payment systems. Kenya is buying Persian Gulf oil with its own currency. And that wraps it up. The multipolar currency world is emerging, which means the world is going to look a lot different in the next year, 2 to 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and so on. And so we're going back to these times where gold may be the standard currency, or maybe people are going to be bartering. But worldwide, people will not be using US dollar anymore. And that is the fact of how the American empire is falling. But tell me what you think in the comments. Talk to you soon.